Welcome back, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, a Saturday morning edition. Something new at the busy week. So we just kind of threw it out there midweek, and we're like, hey, why don't we do like a Saturday morning little, So we're back here on a Saturday morning. Got my co-host DG. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Good morning to you, man. A little cup of coffee, Saturday morning. Big day here in Oklahoma. We got the spring, right? And obviously the Thunder tomorrow, kicking off the playoffs, man. So this is a big weekend right here. Figured why not get our weekend going here with a little cup of coffee to start this morning off. Enjoy a little sunshine out here and get this thing rolling. So doing well, man. Fired up to do this. This is cool. I like this little episode like this, man.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, we just get right into it, like you just said. OU and OSU are both doing their spring games today. OU is at noon, and then OSU, I believe, is at like 4 o'clock this afternoon. So for people like just the casual fans, just the people that, um, you know, understand. Oh, well, this is just a, scrimmage, and just kind of the surface level of what spring games are. Let's go into a little bit about. Obviously you've been a college coach, you've been at a few stops, with Memphis, OSU, a couple other places, and you've been a part of some spring games. From a coaching perspective, what does a spring game mean for you guys, and what are you guys kind of evaluating through that process? And then obviously with spring practice, everybody knows, you're out there getting reps and stuff like that. But, to kind of culminate the spring itself, and with these games, what are you looking for? What are you evaluating as a coach, and even as a staff combined? Like when your head coach says, "Hey, X, Y, Z, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to try to accomplish." What are some of those things that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'd say first off, man, it's a fun day for the players. It's spring, whether you're in spring camp or fall camp or whatever it is, football practices, they become a grind throughout, like over that time. Like football is not easy, and so even spring ball, when you're only going every other day, I know I'd say majority of schools now go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is kind of their practice schedule. Um, so it's not as much of grind as fall camp, but in spring ball, you really find out a lot about who you are. And so for me personally, it was always fun because it gave the players something to look up or to look forward to. It's the first time really, and they've been grinding all winter and now all spring, and it's the first time to kind of show out, if you will, in front of friends and family and fans in general, right? So that part is cool to see, kind of like a little build up to a game. Obviously, it's not as much, but
Yeah.
it's something for them to look forward to. From the coaching side, though, that's where it was. There's always a little bit of a fine line for me here, man. Like the spring game, yeah, it's all exciting. Everybody gets to do it, and you do love it for the kids. But it's so, toned down, if you will. It's so vanilla because you want to be crisp, you want to be clean, you want everybody to know that the format of whatever you're doing is obviously not like a real game, but there is still an evaluation piece going on. It's still one of your 15 practices. You only get 15 practices in the spring, right? So it still counts as one of those. So yeah, there's still a big evaluation piece, and you get to let the guys go out there, fly around. And since it is a little more vanilla as far as your X's and O's go, you kind of to let some of the guys, cut it loose, if you will, and really see what they know. And when since there is maybe a little bit more of the spotlight on them instead of practice, how are they going to perform in that moment? So I think it's fun to see for the players. It's a little back and forth from coaches of whether or not you like it or don't like it. How do we really feel about it? But to me, there's still a chance to see guys perform and under the lights, in a sense, if you will, when all the lights are on. And so, and at that same time, there is still opportunity there as far as evaluation goes for guys that maybe aren't a 1 or a 2 that are fighting for position spots. Like, this is still, again, one of those 15 practices where you're going out trying to make a name for yourself and make plays and get on the field come fall and come on the Saturdays. So I'd say that's a little bit of my 2 cents there from the coach's side. And The biggest deal is just the excitement for the players, in my opinion, though.
Yeah. Well, and I think from a coaching perspective too, any kind of the more live reps that you're getting to really see guys in that full, game situation as possible. I know a lot of coaches that's the kind of the litmus test is you want to see them in live action as much as possible. And so for this, it's more of a controlled, practice to where you can get some of those things. And for me, I always wanted to see, even from a high school, standpoint, because a lot of us, we did it in high school. We would finish the spring with some type of, and obviously it's later in the year now. It's like May is when high school, really gets going and everything like that. But it gives you an opportunity to see, try to get your best on best as much as possible. Obviously, the guys that have been there, they don't need as many reps. So you're not going to see, like today, for example, you're not going to see, the quarterback at OSU, Mustelmaker, you're not going to see him in like 5 or 6 drives. You're probably going to see him and John Mateer in maybe the first 2 really controlled, and then they're going to let the other guys who you really haven't seen, like, for example, at OU, Bo Bentley, the highly recruited kid out of Texas, you want to see what he's doing in some live game reps against some college competition. Obviously, you've seen his film and you liked what you saw in high school, and that's why you brought him in, but you want to see those guys against maybe a controlled pass rush, or maybe some, some situations where they can throw on the run against the hand in their face, and, stuff like that. And obviously, you're not sacking the quarterback, you're wearing a blue jersey. So it's a little bit, different, but still at the same time, you're getting a little more faster pace, practice. Obviously, you're getting some conditioning in, you're giving guys a chance to play with each other, like a team chemistry, communication, stuff like that, especially on defense, where, you're trying to make calls, you're trying to make sure everybody's lined up, your assignment, everything like that. And those are some of the things that, I look at even as a fan going today, hey, how are some of these new guys in this environment doing with, getting lined up, understanding their assignment, knowing what formation that, they're in, making sure guys are getting lined up. And I think those are the biggest things is, whether there's formations, adjustments, stuff like that. Can guys get lined up properly and just, manage and just, operate in the system that you're in.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a great point, man. That's a great point. And like I said, of the part of it being very basic and they're not really down the line and they're installed, it's typically your first couple days of installs are the only plays you're calling for strategic reasons there, obviously, moving forward. But that's a really, really good point by you. And to the point of you saying you're only going to see those top guys for maybe a few drives at the most, really, that's the biggest thing as a coach. You go into that thing, man, with your fingers crossed, saying an extra little prayer or two before, making sure you want your guys coming out of that thing healthy, man. Healthy, because they're still flying around. They're still playing a game. And
you could turn an ankle. You can,
Yes. Even if, man, even if you're wearing a blue jersey or whatever the hell it is, there's still a chance that it's football, man. Things happen. And hell, we see non-contact injuries happen all the time. So I hope for both cases, man, on both sides, honestly, in Stillwater and in Norman today, that both of those squads come out and healthy. I really, honestly, I don't know their injury reports up to this point. So I hope both teams have had a healthy spring so far. And that's always a big, it's one of those things in the back of the coach's mind. You're like, going into this thing today, let's get through these first
and
few
I think
drives
that's
with our guys and make it work out. But
probably the biggest point of emphasis in these coaching staffs is like, guys, make sure we keep our guys healthy. Get the reps that these first team guys need and get them the heck out of there. Like I've heard coaches that like, hey, we don't need this guy in there for freaking 40 snaps in a spring game. Like, no, it's not happening. Get him, lathered up a little bit, let him get a sweat going, let him go through warm-ups a little bit, and then like you're done. Like, so it's but
I've been
fun,
a part of the other side of that, man. Whenever my bad, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was saying I've been a part of the other side of that where the staff maybe the reps weren't controlled as much, and we heard a little bit from the head man on the headphones during the game, and then in the next staff meeting a little bit too after maybe some reps got pushed a little farther than they should have. So it was one of those things that the head coach for sure, he ain't messing around with those
No.
the play count numbers, if you will, for certain guys for sure. So I've probably been on the wrong end of that once or twice, but one time specifically I can remember out in Memphis, and so I learned that lesson real quick. Fortunately for me, it was only it was kind of in my GA days, if you will.
Sure.
So that was a valuable lesson.
For sure. And like you said earlier, it's a chance for like fan engagement, recruiting. It's a big recruiting weekend for some of these guys, for these programs.
Huge.
Just to be able to showcase your program to the fans, the donors, the recruits, and build excitement for your season. I think that's the biggest goal through some of this too. And so it'll be fun to see. And it's football, and us in Oklahoma, any kind of football that we see, we'll love it. So
Yeah, man, no doubt. Well, I got one. I got one here for you then on the note, man, because I know you mentioned some specific names. Obviously, at the quarterback position, everybody loves to see that, especially when there's a new young quarterback. But if you're talking at OU for yourself, if maybe there was one guy on offense and one guy on defense that you're excited to see this fall, but maybe that you've been paying attention to this spring, who would that be for you? You got anybody that stood out? Or anybody you're looking forward to see today?
Yeah, so I know that a few of our running back room, there's a couple guys that are, not seriously hurt, but they're obviously, like we talked about earlier, you're not going to put them through a spring game. It was Torrey Boylock and Xavier Robinson. Those guys have already been through the ringer last year as far as that. They got a little knick-knack, stuff that's not any concerning. They're not going to play, obviously. So, kind of a bummer there, but you understand why. I don't think Isaiah Satania is going to practice either because, the same thing. I think he's just kind of going through some, little things that you don't want to turn into something big for your season. But some of these other guys that maybe get the opportunity that, you're not, you don't really know. I know some of the transfers on offense. The tight ends obviously is a big thing for everybody because of the whole new room and a new position coach. Everybody's kind of got their eyes on the tight end room. So I actually had a chance to go to practice a couple, was it last Thursday, and kind of see some of those guys and everything like that. So it's going to be good to see that tight end room I'm kind of looking at. And then obviously on the defensive side, I think there's some new pieces there. So it'll be interesting to see. Just in general, I know I'm not giving like a specific person, but just some new, like some of the linebackers, Cole Sullivan, the transfer from Michigan, get some time at linebacker. And then some of the DBs that didn't get a whole lot of reps last year back there. And then obviously I know he's probably not going to play today, but the big news coming with Owen Heineke, his decision to get another year of eligibility. Just excited for him in the fall to get the opportunity. I know he's not probably going to suit up today or anything like that because he really wasn't going through spring practice because he was kind of in limbo about whether he's going to get the year of eligibility or not. But I'm really excited for him and getting him back as an experienced linebacker for that. But, yeah, just the younger guys. I know it's coach talk. It's cliche. But for me, I look at a game in a different lens than most people. So I just want to see the guys that haven't got those, reps that we were talking about, a chance to maybe, with some of these guys out, an opportunity for one of those guys to maybe step up and make some plays against, some one-on-ones, stuff like that. So it's going to be fun. And again, it's football. It's between the lines. Just as, even though it's a spring game, I'm excited to see that offensive line. I think is a big question that people want to see too. So yeah, I know it wasn't a whole, one person, but it's, obviously for me, it's good, a little bit different. So.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's cool that you got to see them in person too, and then at an actual practice, and then seeing them today too. I guarantee you, as you know, the juices are a little bit different for the spring game versus I don't know. So if you were there last Thursday, that probably would have been practice 11, 12 or something like that, 13, somewhere around that range. So practice at that. I mean, they're still 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, and so when you get to practice 12 and 13. It's still the juice level naturally dies a little bit, and that's your job. That's the challenge as a coach is to keep those juices high. And so fortunately for today, you ain't got to do much to get those juices up. So that's a beautiful
No,
part.
no. And I think too, they're actually going to have a couple more practices after the spring game. So I don't think they're done yet. I think
Oh,
they've
really?
yeah. So I think they've got one or two more. I know they've at least got one more left. Just an extra opportunity. I kind of think like,
Yeah.
it's a chance to get them in the film room and do a little evaluation from a game tape perspective.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a little more of the reasoning behind the scheduling like this is you want to try to get as much time as you can with those guys. So getting a little teaching tape always helps. So
yeah, I'm laughing at that because I'll never forget those questions. It made me think. I was like, damn, we did that at Memphis actually. And when you first set the schedule, and then when you're going to the spring game and everything, the kids are always like, why is this not our last practice? We really got to come back after the spring game. And so there's a lot of stuff just kind of running back through my brain on those kind of things. What's going on, Jimmy?
what's up, man?
Glad you could join us, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, that's funny you say that. But that's actually a very common practice.
It is. Yep.
Schedule nowadays that people don't actually finish with the spring game. So that's a great point by you.
Yeah, for sure. So I know we're going to transition a little bit here into the kind of the next segment we've had, and we appreciate all you guys for your support. Right now, if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, share comments, engage with us here on social media. Obviously, follow us on social media. We're on Apple, Spotify podcast now, so you can listen to it audio. But we've had some really cool interviews the last couple of weeks. Thinking back to a couple of weeks ago, we had our boy Bray Cook on with us, and then last week, Coach Cale Gundy was on with us. We've had some great interviews. We've got more to come, but just from those couple interviews, especially those specifically, and then there's more interviews back in the archives and everything on YouTube. We don't have them. We just started doing the audio with, I think, Bray Cook. So the last couple episodes are on the audio, and then moving forward, any of our videos. But for you, and then even the fans out there, even people, what has been your favorite interview? What has been some of the takeaways that you've had, and kind of what have we learned through some of these guys and just the roles and stuff that they've been in?
Man, that's so when we talked about doing this, honestly, it was me. I was thinking back to all the people we've had on, and so we go back to J.W. Walsh, one of my best friends, man, heck of a ball coach. He was obviously a really, really good college football player, hell of a high school football player too. Having him on was a blast. You go to Casey McHugh, safeties coach right up there at Western Michigan. A good friend of mine I got to work with a couple years ago. And so having both of those guys having them on was, for me, that personally, that was a joy, spending that time with them and hearing some of their perspectives and thoughts and views and things like that. To be honest with you, we say things on here that we're just hanging out or we're around each other in general. We don't always talk like that. You know what I mean? So for me to learn more about those guys was pretty cool. Having Bray on was awesome too. Obviously, Cale was a huge guest, and some of those stories. I was talking to my brother last week after that happened. It was like him talking about going to the Little League World Series and playing cup ball with the Japanese kids and the Puerto Rican kids, and like that was to me
incredible.
Those are stories. Just the fact that man, that's awesome hearing those kind of things, right? So I would say though one of the highlights for me was really cool, and it came full circle last night for me. I was with some extended family when we had Coach Whitson on, head coach at Edmond North, man, Carter Whitson, and his journey, his path to me was really cool. It was unique to how much he moved around, how early on he knew he wanted to be a football coach, and with his dad being a high school coach. But hearing his story of when he moved to Shawnee and then playing Ardmore in the playoffs, and the fact that he actually played against my cousin being on the field, and I was at one of those games as a youngster, man, watching that, and to know that life works to bring us full circle, and here we are. He was the quarterback in that game. And that was a huge game that I remember being a kid at that game, like the fact that Shawnee beat Ardmore, because Ardmore, I think, had some pretty highly recruited guys, and so they were having a good year. And to hear some of the names that he remembered that I also remembered of the guys that were on that team specifically, like Jermaine Gresham and Roy Roberts, some of the two household names for Ardmore that went and played big-time college football. But to hear Coach Whitson talk about that and the connection that we made, to be honest with you, that's what football is. Football, whether you're in the coaching world or as a player, it's a huge network, and the game brings people together. And I actually was with my cousin last night that was in that game, that played in that game too.
Yeah.
And so we got to have a moment and talk more about that, and talked about Coach Whitson in the podcast and things like that, and how it kind of, that full circle moment was really cool, really special. So for me, when we reflect on some of these last guests that have been on here, man, that was a really cool one for me to hear, and hearing his stories, I thought was really unique. So shout out to Coach Whitson, man, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then just being able to, you mentioned him being able to come back to closer to home, obviously to the OKC area, and now coaching high school football after being in Indiana. And, there's a lot of give and take in coaching. And a lot of times, coaches are not mindful of their families sometimes with, their jobs and where they move and stuff like that. And so for him to be able to stay there and allow his wife to create her business and everything in Indiana for a long time, and then being able to make the transition and something maybe out of her comfort zone a little bit to come back to where he's at and now doing that. And I think a lot of times people forget how strained it could be on a family, and even with kids and a wife and everything like that. You got to really be strategic with some of the jobs that you take, and sometimes you have to say no, or sometimes you have to say yes for certain reasons. And so that was already a unique experience for me to hear that, and stuff like that. And so I'm glad it's working out for him, and it really excited to see what they do. Not only there, but just high school coaches around the state in general. But for me, man, I really enjoyed. All of them you could take away, but this last one with Coach Gundy was awesome, because being such a big fan of Oklahoma, and just him being such a consistent presence on whether it's a sideline or player for the last 30 years at the University of Oklahoma was huge. And just some of the stories that he tells, and obviously we didn't get a lot of stories because he doesn't want to ever talk about himself. And I thought that was awesome. He wants to talk about the players and the relationships and the things that he focuses on, how I could be a better person to other people. And he doesn't toot his own horn. He doesn't pat himself on the back, and he very well could, because some of these guys that he's coached, there's a long line of great NFL players, great players in college and everything like that. And so that was the biggest thing, is just his humility, and being able to say, hey, it wasn't all me. It was the program that we created. Yes, we worked our butts off, but, I really valued the relationship that I built with my players. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. That's special, man. And that's when, in my opinion, that's when you kind of know that someone is special at that level. When you hell, I was trying to give him the recognition. I was trying to give him the notoriety. And I was talking about the Big 12 championships and the draft picks. I was asking him questions about that. And for him to continuously turn it back around to everything you just mentioned. And it was cool, because if it got to that point where he really was talking about himself, it wasn't himself. It was the experiences that he had. And, that's, to me, that's probably when you, I would just say in general, live the life that he's lived and had some of the success and the things he's done in his life, man. That is what it's all about at the end of the day. He was talking about the relationships that he has, and then those experiences that you have within that, man. That's a huge part of life in general, but obviously within the game of football too. So I back you. I second you on that one, man. That was really cool to have him on. Shout out to Coach Gundy, man. Kel, man, if you're listening to this ever, we appreciate you being on here. And I'm going to take it back real quick, Drew, because you mentioned with Coach Whitson, you mentioned his wife. And I got to give a shout out to coaches' wives in general. Man,
no doubt.
I saw something the other day that Joey McGuire said. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. Coach McGuire down to Texas Tech. I think it was him that said something. I just saw it on social media, so I could be very wrong on this. But he said there's a special place in heaven for coaches' wives whenever they get there one day. And just because of the sacrifices they make, man. And so when you get an opportunity to kind of put things to the side yourself and sacrifice for your spouse, like Coach Whitson did, like you mentioned, with his wife's business and everything. I think that takes a special person as well. But people have no clue what the wives go through in the coaches' world, man. They have no clue. And so if there is any of them that ever listen to it, and my wife too in general, man, like, shout out to you and shout out to the rest of them that are out there, because the coaches' wives, that is one of the hardest jobs on planet Earth. That is for sure. And it's kind of a thankless job, if you will. So I'm giving my praise and my thanks to them right now.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think that goes often overlooked, and I've seen it just in the coaching profession and everything like that. So, yeah, I second that. Shout out to all the wives, families, kids, everybody out there that are, affected by, being in the coaching world, because it's not just the coaches that are affected, it's the families and everything that, and people say, yeah, well, they get all paid all this money. Well, not at the high school level, not at some of these other, if you're not a big Division I coach, you're not getting, so you can't forget about the GAs and the analysts and all that other stuff that, it's tough, but, well taken.
And those,
yeah.
And your kids, they ain't seeing that paycheck, so they don't always know. So yeah, the wives might know what that paycheck looks like, but the kids are going through the same thing, man, and they don't know what that paycheck always looks like. They just know that dad's gone. They know that dad's gone a lot. You know what I mean? So shout out to the families for sure, man.
Yeah. Hey, that might be a good interview. We may have to pull a coach's wife on for an interview and a little glimpse into the behind the scenes. That'd be a cool one to have. We'll figure out something there on that end, but that'd be a cool perspective to hear from, something like that. That would be awesome. So, but
that's a great idea, man. Yeah. Good thought.
So. Yeah, good thought. We'll table that. And obviously with Coach Gundy, I know he's told us that he wants to come on and talk some OKC Thunder playoffs. So one of these, we would get, maybe to the finals again this year. We may have him on for some Thunder segment. But guess what, Dave? It's playoff time in Oklahoma once again. NBA playoffs. Aren't we ready?
Let's go.
That's a golf clap. Yeah, that's a golf clap. Man. The Thunder open the playoffs tomorrow. 2:30 against the Suns. So, give us your thoughts. Once again, best record in the NBA, sitting here again with poised to make another run. So, what are your initial thoughts going into the playoffs?
Man, obviously, like, truly just excitement when you're the defending champs. At anything in life, any sport in general, when you come back and you're trying to defend a title, man, I remember hearing things like Tom Brady say, like, that's one of the hardest things to do in sports, is trying to defend that title and go back to back or back to back to back or whatever that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that that's happening here in Oklahoma City is so cool. Being born and raised here, and first professional team I've ever had here that's not like minor league stuff hell, I get chills just thinking about it right now, man. And the fact that we actually did, it's still sometimes I'm like, man, we actually won the NBA championship last year. And to see the support that the community and the city had in general, man, was special. It was so cool. It was so fun. So I can't wait to get it rolling, honestly, this week, with the fact that, obviously we weren't in the play-in. We had to wait and see who we were going to play. Like, play the Suns now. It's all set and we're ready to go. But this was one of the longest weeks for me in the last couple months, because, like, typically watching at least a couple games a week, and even the games when I can't tune in and watch the whole thing because things are going on, I'm still checking the scores constantly. Did Shea get his 20 constantly? Like, the whole thing, keeping the streak alive. That in itself has been its own story to follow all season. So I really can't, man. I can't express how excited I am. It's a great time. Hell, it's spring. Weather's getting nice outside. We got the Thunder playoffs going, so get-togethers happening, getting with family, getting with friends, watching the games. And the intensity now, it picks up. So people that maybe kind of hate on the NBA, if you will, watch playoff basketball and tell me how much you hate that, because I know Coach Gundy talked about it when we had him on last week, man. He was talking about how physical the game of basketball actually is at the NBA level. When you get there and you go see it in person, like, it's not as soft as people say it is anymore. And especially now that you're in the postseason, these dudes are getting after it. And so I can't wait to see it, man. Pretty much the whole team, most of the key guys back healthy. So I'm ready to get this thing rolling, man. I'm fired up for it. I don't care who it is. Put Wemby in front of us, the Suns, Denver, man, we want all the
Bring
smoke,
them
man.
all.
Let's go. We got to defend that title.
That's right. No, I'm excited.
Give me your 2 cents, man. What's your thoughts? Yeah, let's hear it.
So I'm fired up for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, a lot of people were like, I don't know, the Thunder is going to have a drop off this year. I don't know if they can get back to where they were last year playing at a high level. Well, best record in the NBA once again, like I mentioned, number 1 seed. You don't have to go through the playoffs. The Western Conference runs through you. Actually, the whole playoffs run through you now, just like the similar situation last year. So some of those big games are going to be at home, like you had last year, and so that's huge. Whenever you can play in front of your home crowd and experience that and everything like that. And number 2 for people, and I know I told you this before we jumped on, but I'm actually going to get to go to the game tomorrow. I'm excited about it. Just found out actually this morning that I'll get to be there in person for at least the first game of the tipping it off. So look, I'm gonna be jumping up and down. So y'all look for me on TV. I don't know if I'll be able to be spotted. So we'll see.
I'll be looking for you. I'll make sure you got your shirt on, man.
Yeah, the Blues. I just saw them. They actually just tweeted it out. They're on the presses right now. They're coming out with the. Let me see where they're at. Yeah, the blue. That looks like the blue is going to be for tomorrow. So
nice.
Yeah, the Mid-First Bank blue playoff shirts. So they're rolling them out. So we'll. I'm excited. So
love it.
And this may be a. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, you mentioned, obviously the number 1 seed. I saw this stat the other day. I thought it was super cool. I think, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure I saw over the course of 2 seasons in NBA history, I think we have the best or the 3rd best record all time over the course of 2 seasons for any NBA team since the merger or whatever they call it. So, crazy. Yeah. Man, I was like, God, that is unreal. So shout out to the boys, man. Shout out to Coach Dagnall, Sam Presti, the whole squad. Like, that's an impressive task, but we weren't longevity success, man.
Well, and the biggest thing too is we weren't fully healthy for the good majority of the season. Like, we didn't have our starting 5 for a good majority of the season, and to still play at a high level like this just speaks to, like you just said, the camaraderie and the culture and everything that the front office has built, and for Mark Dagnall to keep that together. And also, we're talking about wives. Shout out his wife, who is a assistant gymnastics coach at the University of Oklahoma, going after their national championship. I think it's today, actually. So trying to go back to back there too. So the whole household is trying to go back to back. So yeah, there you go.
That's awesome, man. That's a good nugget right there. That's a good nugget, man. That's dope. Yeah. I'll say this, man. I saw so obviously Kendrick Perkins, player, right? He's been a Thunder fan ever since he got done playing. He loves the organization. He shouts us out all the time and shows us mad love. So I was listening to him yesterday, and his coach of the year vote is going to Mitch Johnson down with the Spurs. There's Joe Mazzulla with the Celtics. I think it was both of those guys, like the lead guys in conversation. And to the point you just made about our injuries, I'm like, how is Coach Dagnall not in that conversation? We're the number 1 team in the league, and we have the injury list that we had all year of the guys. I mean, our starters have played. They've barely played a full game together.
Well, it's because it's the Thunder and the expectation that we've built. Probably it's a blessing and a curse. I think that's probably what it's like. Man. It's like when Saban in college football or any other big name coach, they've just done it and he's starting to get in that. Especially if he wins another one this year. You just start expecting that from those type of guys. And so, and I think that's a little bit of what it is you're just expecting the Thunder now, especially if they go on and win this one, the expectations are even going to be greater next year.
Yeah.
And so I think it's part of that as well. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's got the best team in the NBA, whatever it is, but I think it's still a great coaching job. I go back to, what was it? 2006. When OU had to go through a quarterback change with Rhett Bomar getting kicked off the team, and then Bob Stoops probably having his best coaching year because of a lot of different pieces and still being able to get to the Big 12 championship and winning the Big 12, and I don't think he even got the Coach of the Year that year because they were like, oh, well, you have 5-star players and all this other stuff. And so I think it's a blessing and a curse for some of these guys out there in the coaching world that you're just expected to do that because of who you are, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. Well, either way, man, let them all hate. And we'll just see when it comes. We'll see when it comes nut crunching time, right? Let's go.
Yep.
We're going back to back, man. I love it. But I'm just obviously turning a bit of a homer with the boys. But it is truly it's been a blessing to the city for sure. And then to have the guys that we have on that team, man, of their camaraderie and just true togetherness, and all the ways that they show it's been phenomenal for the city in general. But now it's time to get real. The fluff is all gone, and with the playoffs being here, man, I can't wait. I'm tuned in every game for sure.
Yep.
Can't wait.
And another shout out that we need to give the coaches pod. I know Bray, he does a great job over there, but Jeff Williams, the AD at Harbor High School, is got a little ties to the Oklahoma City Thunder with Jalen Williams, Arkansas Jalen Williams. That is his son over there and everything like that. And so I know he's fired up about another playoff run and everything like that. So big shout out to Jeff Williams over in Springdale, Arkansas at Harbor High School and everything like that. He's a friend of the show. We're going to try to get him on, and stuff like that too. So had to give a shout out to Jeff and all that
man.
Too, so
Jeff's a great dude. And just to your point in general with him and the Arkansas connection of Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe.
Yep.
The Oklahoma City Thunder have quite a few fans in the state of Arkansas. They don't have an NBA team. They got two of their guys, on our squad, obviously. It's just right down the road. As far as making that drive is easy. So I do, just myself personally, I've ran into quite a few Arkansas people that are big fans of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's a shout out to Jay Will, Isaiah Joe, obviously, and those guys. But yeah, man, Coach Williams, great dude. Him and Bray Cook, both got great guys. I know they've had their podcast together for a while.
Long time.
Coach Williams he's been in the game a long time, man.
Yeah,
he does
you guys
a great
need to
job.
go check it out. If you're football fans, if you want to hear some great interviews and stuff from coaches and in the game of football and everything around there, they've got a ton of interviews that you can go back and watch and shout them out. The Coaches Pod over there, they do a good job. They're helping us out, supporting us a little bit. So we want to throw the love back at them. But they've got. I went back and watched a lot of their interviews and what they've done, and they do a great job over there with what they do. So.
Yep, absolutely, man. Well, this cup of coffee's about gone, man. This has been a good one this morning. I don't know. We might have to do this again. I like this.
For sure. We may throw an extra segment in here and there. Yeah, we may throw a little Saturday edition here and there with some of our interviews. But no, guys, we are off and running for the weekend here in Oklahoma. Like I said, go check out the spring games. Obviously, the Thunder play tomorrow. And then if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We have some great interviews. Go back and watch. Like Dave said, we've had, J.W. Walsh, some of those guys. But even further back before Dave got on, we got a great interview with Leah Beasley, who's the deputy AD at Penn State, a few other stuff like that. So go check out those. We'll start working maybe some of those on to the audio. But moving forward, we are on Apple and Spotify, obviously our YouTube channel, all of our social medias. So please give us a follow. We're trying to, build this thing and who knows where this is going to take us, but we're having fun doing it. So once again, shout out to you guys for your support. But please drop us a comment, stuff that you want to hear, questions you want to ask. We're all about, we're all about talking about whatever. So.
Absolutely, man. This was a great show. I love the morning, vibes, if you will, sitting here on the back porch with a cup of coffee during the morning. This is big time, man. So shout out to the people that joined in and tuned us. I know Jimmy said what's up in the comments today. Appreciate you hopping on, Jimmy. And it's football time here in Oklahoma. You could say that for today, right? It's football time with both spring games going on for the state schools, and now with Thunder playoffs being here, man. I know there's a big vibe around the state in general. So fired up, man. Appreciate you, Drew, as always. And man, until next time.
Yeah. See you guys again for the Huddle Up podcast. I want to thank our sponsors real quick: Jeremy Hodge Auto Group, Gridiron Spice, Keystone Property Management, and Live Audio. We'll see you guys again next week, and Thunder up.
Thunder up.